Kaufmann Stonefly. Step 1.
For this fly, we're going to use a number 6 4 extra long streamer hook. We want a long hook for this, and some .035 lead, which is quite thick. And we're going to try and cover towards the head of the fly the about 2/3 of the entire shank length. Get those butt ends of the lead nice and compact and close to the hook shank. Break that off with your thumb or scissors.
Step 2.
Now what we're going to do is, because we're going to try and create a flat body, we're going to come in and pinch the head end of the fly flat with a pair of flat pliers. Not the whole thing, but most of it, probably 3/4.
Step 3.
Now we're going to take our thread. You want to use some little bit heavier thread, maybe some monocord for this fly, because we're going to use a fairly heavy body and we're going to tie down some materials quite tight on this. We want some stiffer thread. And completely cover this body up. Keep it from sliding. Now we're going to take 2 more pieces of lead and lay them butted right up against the eye portion of the lead and overlapped towards the hook shank on the tail end of the fly.
Guess that'll help with the taper once you...
Yeah, having it hang over towards the tail end will help with the taper, and you're trying to build up width the rest of the fly.
Mm-hmm.
Lay another piece in on the other side, identical in length. Trying to keep it as best you can on the side. Keep pinching it flat in order to keep it that way. When we look at the top view of the fly, you'll be able to see the shape you're trying to create. Be generous with your thread here. Cover up those butt ends. Again, trying to keep the taper consistent. And there you go, you can see the shape now.
Step 4.
Now this is very important. You must glue this wire down. The lead wire is not glued. The fly's going to slide once it's done.
Step 5.
Now we're going to tie in the tail. Some goose or turkey biot in black will work good for this. Grabbing 2 biots. Tying them in about the distance of the hook gap, maybe slightly shorter, so that they curve outwards, not in towards each other, but out, away from the fly.
Is there a particular way of putting the biot on, or is it naturally going to bend that way when you tie it in?
It'll naturally bend that way.
Step 6.
Now we're going to tie in our rib, which is some small V-rib. You can use round rib or V-rib.
Step 7.
And here we've got a bit of Kaufmann's Stonefly dub. And you could use seal or any other dubbing you choose really for this. This is nice because it has a bit of variation in color.
Does it absorb the water fairly well, or is it repelling?
It's not really going to cause it to float, but it's not really going to absorb a lot of water either. You only want to dub about half the body.
Step 8.
Now what we're going to do is prepare our wing case. What we want to do is cut a few sections of this to be at least the hook gap in width, and completely coat them with some Dave's Flex Cement. And we use Flex Cement here because it dries rubbery and not hard and stiff. That way it'll keep the feathers together without splitting on us. A little bit of flex. And coat 3 of these because we're going to need 3 for this fly.
Step 9.
Now we're going to come in and reverse wrap our ribbing. And because the dubbing isn't really that tight, it's a good idea to reverse wrap it. And some people like to bend the hook here to curve it down a little bit to give it a little bit better shape to the fly, but I find that the fly doesn't hook as well if you do that.
It prevents the fish's mouth from getting around it, does it?
Yeah, it won't hook. It won't hook.
Step 10.
Now what we're going to do is take a bit more dubbing and create a bit of a ball to keep our wing case propped up slightly. See there, we've trying to create a bit of a bump, something to have the wing case rest on.
Step 11.
Now what we'll do is take our first piece that we've lacquered earlier and snip it in a bit of a V shape. Fairly shallow V, you don't want it too deep. Now tie it in so it just extends past the end of that bump. And it should lay flat on the hook. Since we've created a nice flat body, it should lay in there without bending or twisting. Make sure it's securely down.
Step 12.
Now we're going to come in and create another bump or ball. Keep the next wing case propped up.
Step 13.
I notice you're using 3 different feathers for this. There's not enough material on one cut.
No, we like to keep the end that you cut off the quill is usually the thickest, stiffest part of it. So we're trying to use that part of the feather. Otherwise it usually splits and it's too thin. There's our second wing case.
Step 14.
And again, come in with another piece of dubbing. Create another bit of a ball there to have our wing case rest on.
Step 15.
And again, the identical step with our third wing.
So again, you said that's the butt end of the actual quill?
It is. It's the butt end, the end that's closest to the quill when we cut it off that we've glued.
I see.
And then, it's not really that necessary to tie in 3 wing cases. I don't think the fish can count, but it does look a lot nicer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to leave a bit of space for a head on this fly.
Step 16.
Now we're going to tie in the antenna, again using the same material we used for the tail. Tie these in so they point either side of our hook eye.
Notice you have these ones angling down quite a bit.
They can angle down or up. It just pretty much depends on how they get tied in. Whichever way they decide to twist on you. With a bit of twisting and turning, you can try and get them to lay in equal. Trim off the butt ends once you've got them securely tied in.
Step 17.
Good idea to glue the antenna.
Step 18.
We're going to come in and dub our head. A tiny bit more of the Kaufmann's dub. Good idea not to use too much here either. Otherwise it's just going to slide around on the underbody.
Step 19.
And come in and whip finish. We've got a done fly.
Where's this one? Used mainly in the rivers or lakes?
It's mainly a river fly. It's a really, really good imitation of a stonefly. And if a little bit harder and takes a little longer to tie, but well worth it. want to pick some of this dubbing out from under the wing case to act as legs. Just fluff it up a bit. But as close to a stonefly as you'll get.